Believe it or not, it's not just about medicine. There's a lot of things you could change.
What do I do and what's wrong with me? And it really put me in a bad place.
Peptides are a good tool. Supplementation is a good tool to utilize.
2 peptides that I really love that I feel like they're amazing.
Okay, guys, so I have one of my most favorite people here with me today. She is my sister, my youngest sister. She's about 8 years younger than me. And we are here to talk about all things wellness in our health journey in the last couple years. So where do we start?
We share why you even got into this world or this space and why you're so passionate, why we're both so passionate about it. Starts with our mom.
In 2021, we actually lost our mom to early onset Alzheimer's. And that was like a rude awakening because we never imagined that happening. And she was actually very young.
It had progressed over years, but it's still, nothing can prepare you for that happening at such a young age. And us being so young too. And then she's just gone. So that definitely started our journey of being like, why did this happen? And we want to get to the root of it.
So basically, she didn't have like a formal diagnosis, and we just noticed she started having memory loss and issues. And we took her to my dad and all of us took her to different physicians, and they didn't really have a true answer. They just kept saying it looked like she had early onset Alzheimer's. And I had been struggling with my own health issues around the same time. And I started learning all about the root cause to disease and illness and how environmental factors can play a part in autoimmune disease and in chronic illness. And I started learning all of these things during the time that my mom was getting sick. And so us as a family collectively all had to take care of her and take her to appointments and try to navigate that. And we didn't really have a lot of resources or a lot of information to quite understand what was going on.
Yeah, and where we lived at the time, well, some of us, we lived in different states, but didn't have the best resources necessarily to approach our mom's health in the way that we would have liked. It was very blanket statement. Here's what she has going on, and we're sorry. And so I felt like that wasn't good enough for us, and especially Amber, because she was diving into this space and into this world of health and learning how to heal from within and not just from medication. And so as she had said, our dad had flew my mom around to multiple different places to get more opinions because we weren't okay with just saying, hey, she's only going to get worse.
So I think after we had been to several doctors and tried several things, we finally came to a point where we were basically learning all these incredible tools that we could use, but we were a little late to the game. And she had progressed more than what we would have wanted at that time. So I was like, okay, well, let's at least give it our all and try the modalities that we could try. We tried, we did do stem cells, which we do believe prolonged her life, and IV exosomes. And, we tried a keto diet, and we tried cleaning up her diet. And then we ended up looking more into like environmental illness and realized she did have some environmental issues, and she ended up having mold, and she had Lyme. And she had several things that, we didn't figure out till it was a little too late. So once she ended up, not getting better, she was full-time care. Like we had to hire someone to take care of her, feed her, and
lost all her motor skills and even her speaking ability. Couldn't talk anymore, just made kind of noises. But what was interesting is she never really lost a memory of who we were. I think when people say she has Alzheimer's, it's not what you would think all the time. She actually didn't forget who we were. She would get confused maybe sometimes like where she was or what she was doing, but never family members. And so I was really grateful for that.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like she still was able and capable of loving us, and we were able to be with her. But if we would have known what we know now, I feel like maybe we could have made a difference.
Yeah.
So now I'm like obviously way more passionate about getting to the root problem to help prevent her personal journey and our own health, preventing diseases in the future, and also optimizing our health where we're at. And that that really includes so many different things. It's like a holistic approach. And that basically we've, as a family, collectively, everyone, even our husbands and my father, every single one of us have changed our lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think what we could talk about is how do we change our lifestyle? And what does that look like for people that are going through their own health journey, or whether it be a neurological disease or cancer or chronic illness? Like, what can you do in your lifestyle to like change that, to improve it? And believe it or not, it's not just about medicine. There's a lot of things you can change.
And I do want to dive into that more. But what I do want to say is something that Amber hasn't mentioned yet is we were told that our mother was going to have 6 months, maybe 12 months longer, and then she will just pass away from not being able to eat or swallow. And so something I wanted to mention is during this time, you guys, Amber was diving so hardcore into what can we do? How can we biohack now? How can we do anything to get extra time with our mom? And you found ways. And I really believed our mother lived 2 more years. And I feel like she lived 2 more years than she should have, according to doctors. And so not only were you doing obviously stem cells, IVs, just anything you could think of, Amber was doing it so we had more time with our mom. And so I just wanted to mention that you found ways that we could have more time with her. And it was 2 years longer that she had lived. And it was special because it was more time with the grandkids that she wouldn't have had. And so
I think doing just various things like the diet change, the stem cells, we did methylene blue, we did supplementation, we did have a doctor in Beverly Hills that helped, we had a couple of naturopaths, we had herbalists on board, and honestly, that really gave us a little more time. Yeah. It did. It was just like, I wish I would have known more at that moment, but that's also what pushed me to learn more. I was already starting to treat some patients because I'm a nurse and treat patients with various things that had chronic health problems. And I started to learn like how powerful the longevity and regenerative medicine was, and how supporting the mitochondria was really making a difference, and getting to root problems, that people have, and figuring out like why they're dealing with something really made a big difference for me. I really noticed like, okay, peptides are a good tool. Supplementation is a good tool to utilize. Healing the gut is like number one of the most important things to do. Of course, I believe in IV therapy. That was something, and I still do. I do believe it makes a huge difference for patients, but I'm a big advocate on a diet change. Crystal will tell you all about that. Yeah.
So I started having horrible cystic acne all over my face. And what was weird is, usually you have people that grow up high school, it's normal to have some hormonal acne, or, you have an allergy to something. And so maybe you cut it out, your skin gets better. But mine started actually in my 20s, and none of us had we had normal acne, but not like this. It was super deep, all over my face. But Amber really helped me on that journey because I did not want to leave the house. I didn't want to go anywhere. I was exploring, like, do I take medication? What do I do and what's wrong with me? And it really put me in a bad place because it was all over my face. And I knew if I go somewhere, people are looking at what's wrong with me rather than listening to me or seeing me. They're seeing my face. And so it made me not want to leave my home. Like, I literally stayed home for months because of how bad it was. And that's just not healthy.
I think it affected your mental health.
Yeah.
I think for a female too, like, you're all about, like, we're just about our appearances. As women, we care about how we look. And that's important in society, to feel confident. And your skin is a really big deal.
Yeah. Especially your face. Like, if it's somewhere else, I feel like it's a little easier to cover, manage, whatever. But when it's on your face, it really does just take you to a dark place. And right. I feel like a lot of the acne community would agree and feel the same way. And so,
what do you think? What did I start saying to you?
Oh my gosh. There's a few. The first thing was, what's your diet like? Yeah. What are you eating? What are you eating on a daily basis? And I remember Amber told me you're going to have to cut out gluten and dairy. Like, those are the first things we're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
And maybe not forever, but
Right.
For a while, those are causing a lot of inflammation, and that's showing up on your face.
Right.
And so once I started doing that, I started to notice differences like right away. Now, it wasn't gone right away, but I started to notice a ton of differences with cutting out gluten and dairy. I just want to say this, that it's trendy to be like, no gluten, dairy, sugar. People are like, what do you do? Just drink water?
And people think you're extra because of it.
Yeah. And no, it literally changed my skin, you guys, and my bloating, and even how I slept. I had more energy when I cut out gluten specifically. And so it's real. Like, I just think, no, it's not just a trend.
You haven't turned back.
No, I haven't. And I found alternatives that I love, and it's just a lifestyle now. And I don't want to go back. Yeah, sure. Do I have something little here or there? But even the way it makes me feel, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't do it.
So basically what we do know is that sadly, a lot of gluten in the United States majority of it could be genetically modified. And we know that it definitely can create inflammation in the gut. So anyone with an autoimmune condition, and believe it or not, acne can be considered an autoimmune condition. People might not always label it that way, but it's your body is responding, and your immune system's hyper response. So it could be considered just very similarly to an autoimmune condition. But it's also toxins coming out and purging through the skin. But what happens is gluten creates inflammatory response in the GI tract, and then you get a leaky gut, and then you have the leaky gut allows for toxins to come through. Basically, the gut's permeable. So the toxins come out of the gut lining, and then they start circulating through the bloodstream. And if those toxins they're basically not supposed to be circulating through the bloodstream, and that's what creates an autoimmune-like response. And then when you're just not able to detox, eventually these toxins come out through the skin. And so when they come out through the skin, you can have acne, you can have rashes. There's various ways it can come out. Some people get eczema. It can look different for everyone, right? And I do believe acne has a hormonal component, and I do believe acne can be from environmental toxins. So you can't always label it as that, but what we do know is if you can lower the inflammation in the gut, then you're going to have some improvement in your skin. So that's why we eliminated gluten. Dairy is tricky because some people can totally tolerate dairy and some people cannot, and they actually do get cystic acne.
Like raw dairy or something, right? Like a lot of people are doing that right now, and great for them, because I have tried it and it just doesn't. It doesn't
still break out.
Yeah, but we're all different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do think that those foods are the foods that tend to be very inflammatory, and so they make sense as ones that you would take a break from.
Yeah.
You know?
So I know like a lot of people consider dairy as like it increases mucus production in the body. So if you're trying to eliminate toxins, like it's nice to take a break from dairy, for that reason. If you're struggling with acne or skin issues, or even just health issues, taking a break from dairy could be very beneficial. But what I also know is that if you're eating dairy, it definitely has to be organic. And I know we sound extra,
dairy.
but now the way, it has to be organic dairy.
Yeah. I do sheep's cheese and goat's cheese. That's one thing that weirdly enough, like that animal, I'm fine with goat's and sheep's cheese.
Yeah, they're easier to digest. Sheep's milk and goat's milk. And if you're someone that's like, I love dairy and I can't give it up, these are great alternatives. I mean, even us as a family as a whole, I'd say we've switched over to a lot more goat cheese and have all done fantastic on it, because if most people love dairy, and that's hard. And you can do the yogurt too, sheep's milk yogurt, goat milk yogurt. They're amazing. You're still going to get probiotics from them. But they're much easier to digest and better for you if you're going through any health issue at all, especially if you're going through acne or any kind of, autoimmune disease.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did check my food sensitivities too, and just see what those were, like a panel.
You did a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were most allergic to?
It was wheat.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So
wheat was like off the charts.
Hyper response to wheat, which is gluten. So I forgot what your results are. So you can also go and get a food sensitivity test and see what you're sensitive to, because whatever you're sensitive to, you want to avoid, because if you're eating foods that you're sensitive to, it's going to create inflammation in the body. So basically, if you're like really struggling with bloating or skin issues, it's good to get a food sensitivity test. And you did it through Vibrant, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's one of the best food sensitivity tests you can get is Vibrant.
Yeah, and I just want to say this too for the people that are scared of getting a food sensitivities test and thinking, well, what if my favorite food's on there and I can't eat it? It's not a forever, like you can't eat it forever. It's while you heal what you need to heal, and then you might not even want to go back to it, but say there's like, I remember one time I had papaya show up high on my food sensitivities test, and it was a couple months later that I added it. Actually, I think only a month later I added it back in and I was fine. So I just want to say for people that are like, I don't want to do that because then what if dairy shows up or something, or eggs? And then it's like, it's not an end all be all. Like you can still add stuff back in.
The reality is I've seen people who have healed their leaky gut and they've been able to reintroduce foods. Yeah. So if you can't tolerate all these foods, it means you need to work on your gut health. And once you do that, and also detoxification, but once you do those things, normally you can reintroduce foods, because for a while I couldn't eat eggs. And I loved eggs. So I took a break, and then, you know, I was told you take a break for a little while and then you slowly reintroduce the foods and see how you feel based on your doctor's recommendations. But
yeah. Mm-hmm. And Amber definitely helped me with my mindset of there's nothing left to eat to let me try eating something that I haven't tried yet. Like, let's try something else. Let's try another protein, another vegetable, instead of there's nothing else. If I can't have wheat pasta, then I'm not living. And it's not true. There's so much, especially now.
Well,
there's
now
so
it's
much
way
out
easier.
there.
Back then, we were cooking everything from scratch. It was like,
that's true.
I was trying to be so healthy that I handmade everything. And I lived in Ohio at the time, and you lived in West Virginia at the time? Or were you here by then?
No, I was in West Virginia.
There was no options. And so nowadays there's like grocery stores like Thrive where you can have the healthy food delivered to your house. But back then we made
Costco.
Everything. Yeah.
Costco has great stuff too.
Now, but back then it was so difficult. Now there's so much more awareness and many more options than there used to be. We don't do a ton of carbs, like a lower carb. Like we would do lentil pasta, rice pasta, really clean proteins, low sugar, no processed sugar. I've let like my family, we all do like more coconut sugar, dates, maple syrups, those kinds of things, but very clean, like no processed sugar, no gluten, and the dairy is minimal with more goat and sheep's milk. So that was what you mainly did.
Yeah. And then another big thing was you had encouraged me. I had mercury fillings in my mouth, and she had encouraged me to look into a dentist to get those removed. And you guys, I feel like that was a huge thing. Yeah. With heavy metals in my mouth.
So we both, and I believe my dad, we all had metal fillings removed, and we were all struggling with health problems. All of us, like our whole family has went through various health problems. And that was a big thing for us to remove all the metal fillings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another thing was the apartment that my husband and I lived at the time, had some water damage behind the wall where we slept that we didn't realize. And so during this whole process of trying to clear my skin, we ended up moving anyway. And come to find out, between the food, the mercury fillings, and getting out of this environment, my skin was dramatically changing. And so, come to find out there was water damage and a mold issue in our apartment. And it was a very damp environment. We didn't get a lot of breeze because we were on a bottom floor behind a bunch of walls. And so I think there was just black mold growing,
or some kind of mold. It weakens the immune system, and then it allows, other issues in the body, and it's really toxic to your body. And so the only way to actually start to detox it is you have to get out of them. You can't be living in mold. So it's a big deal. So that was something. So see, with her, it was multiple things she had to work on. It wasn't one thing.
It wasn't the water damaged wall that caused my skin to do this. It was already doing that. But I do believe that was causing even more inflammation.
Of course.
Right? Like making it worse, making it stick around longer. And so preventing me from actually healing like my body wants to do with a little bit of help. And so, those are the main things. The last thing I wanted to touch on is I did a liver cleanse. You were like, let's clean your liver. Like, let's focus on your liver.
Well, the liver is the main detox organ.
Yeah. And I naturally am, and I want to be better at this, but my body doesn't naturally love to detox or methylate. And so this is where I need a little extra assistance in doing that. Whether that's through stool, sweating, any of those things.
She needs a little more support. Everyone's different with detoxification, but she needs a little more support.
Yeah. So we did a liver cleanse, and it wasn't even like an intense one. I think when people hear cleanse, they're like, I'm going to die if I can't eat for 3 days or something. But this was a very gentle
eat with that one, don't you?
Yeah, you eat with the one I did. And you do like smoothies with the one I did. And so that was kind of crazy to see the stuff that was coming out of me, but in a great way. Like, so those are the main things.
So people that are really, sick or toxic, they have to focus on the gallbladder and liver. Those are two main organs that get overlooked. And a liver cleanse is great. Taking a gallbladder supplement like Tudka is great. There's various things you can take to help support those organs. But the liver is so important. And my favorite go-tos for detoxification of the liver would be topical glutathione, which we've been using a spray. I also love NAC, and I also love milk thistle. And those are just some of my top favorite supplements to help support liver detoxification. You want to talk about the spray? Oh
yeah, she's got her whole family on this transdermal glutathione spray.
Yeah.
And I love it because it helps me use the bathroom. As I said, I don't have a great
you regular.
Yeah, it helps me regular. But our dad actually loves it because he says that if he has a couple of drinks, he sprays it on his liver that night, and then he never has a hangover the next day.
He swears there's no hangover. He's like, it's the most incredible thing. Yeah. I need to try. I haven't really had a hangover recently because I don't drink that much. So I don't know for sure. But I do know when I travel, because traveling's rough on your body, and being in a plane's rough on your liver. But also, if I have a couple drinks, I'll use the glutathione spray, and it is one of my favorite, honestly,
even
go-tos.
If I just feel bloated or I don't know, just don't feel quite right, I will spray that glutathione over my liver. And one time you had me spray it on my chest when I had a lot of congestion. Yeah. And so I just think it's a great thing to have in your medicine cabinet.
Yeah. By the way, I believe the company tells you to spray it on your arms. So, you do ask your doctor. But I found
not medical advice.
Not medical advice, but I have found that it works really well if you spray on the liver. And you can actually spray it on from what I understand, and like I said, ask your doctor, but injuries, I've sprayed it at many locations on the body. It's transdermal. So it's very safe, but always ask and consult with your physician.
Yeah, kind of similar to how people swear by magnesium on your feet when you sleep. It's similar.
It's transdermal, and it works really well. I mean, I found transdermal things to be very, very effective. So anyway, that's my favorite glutathione.
2 peptides that I really love that Amber has introduced to me, and I'm telling you guys, I feel like they're amazing, is the BPC 157, which I do subcutaneous, and my husband and I both do it, and I would recommend it to anyone. I feel like that helps keep my skin clear even. I mean, I don't know if that's but I feel like it helps keep my skin clear, helps my gut, and then I really like KPV. Yeah. So those are the 2 right now that I'm bigger on. But there's so many good ones.
So BPC 157, well, first of all, we're building a course so we can educate everyone on peptides because we're all obsessed with them now. I think I'm on 4 a day at this point. Crystal's on 2. She's adding to her regimen. I like to start out with a very foundational peptide to help lower inflammation, but she's been doing BPC 157, which is going to help with gut healing, systemic healing, inflammation, and keeping her gut healthy and making sure that her skin's still healing after, the years of acne. KPV is amazing for autoimmunity, and it can be antimicrobial, and it also helps with gut healing and autoimmune disease. And it's actually been used on several people with health conditions, and I've seen amazing results with autoimmunity and leaky gut. And then you haven't tried the GLP-1s yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
We've been discussing like there's new research coming out that GLP-1s can help balance hormones. So that's like an area that we're going to navigate down the road. But yeah, we're building a course right now to help educate more people because I've been doing peptides for quite a while. I've helped a lot of patients. I've seen all types of patients, anything from just regular everyday patients to family friends to high-end clients to celebrity clients. I've seen all kinds of people. And what I've noticed is it doesn't matter who you are, you can benefit from a peptide. And they're completely really just safe and they mimic your own peptides in the body. We have peptides in our body, which are short chain amino acids. And these peptides that are made in a lab, they just mimic what we already have in our body. So it just kind of accelerates healing and promotes healing in a different roundabout way. Especially if you're somebody that's struggled for a long time, you'll see a lot of benefit by utilizing injectable peptides.
I would just encourage people too to not just go to anyone for peptides. There's a lot of information out there.
Yeah.
And so you need to make sure you're listening to someone trustworthy and buying them from someone trustworthy and just even the dosing and there's so many things that go into it. So I just feel like it's so important for people to know.
There's a lot of interesting information. There's so many people that are now selling peptides online. And the problem is, how do you know the dosing? How do you know how to mix them and blend them together? And also, when you're buying your peptides, are they a safe source? Are they third-party tested? So it's something important to think about. And that's why I wanted to create a course that we could show people maybe the best ways to utilize these molecules and also the safest way to get their hands on them. And you're injecting yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How's that going?
I'm the girl who has the stories of like passing out from getting blood work from the doctor.
How many times did you pass out?
I passed out so much because I used to mom would always have me get a ton of blood work because she was nervous about my health.
Oh, because she had chronic Epstein-Barr virus.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I had strep throat and issues growing up. And so now I use the insulin needle and inject myself just fine. It's not scary at all.
Like, it doesn't hurt.
No. So I think when people say needle and injecting yourself, you're like, I could never. But it's so easy. Yeah. And now it just feels normal to do.
And you don't faint ever.
No.
The initial shock after sticking yourself once or twice, you're totally fine. So
yeah. And I do think it's worth saying, and I know if you follow this channel, you know this, but there is oral peptides too that you can take.
Yeah, oral peptides are still really beneficial, honestly. There's, systemic, obviously injectables are going to be stronger, but the oral work very well. And sometimes I use oral over injectable depending on what the client presents with. So
I want to bust the myth that peptides are only if you're older, because I've heard that before. Maybe that's not a common thing, but whether you feel like you have issues detoxing, whether you struggle with stress, if you have joint pain, like we know so many people that especially are doing, for their joints. And so they can actually perform and play sports and do things. I mean, I think for dancers, it's huge. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's for a lot of people.
Yeah. There's literally a peptide that could benefit everyone. And the fun part is like, if you're into like anti-aging and beauty, like they're only going to help prevent aging. Like GHKCU, I mean, you used it topically for your skin and you loved it. You can inject it. It's going to help with collagen production. It's going to help with wrinkles. So these molecules also help prevent aging, which I think like majority of like the people I talk to nowadays are like, how do I prevent aging? How do I look younger? How do I prevent these fine lines and wrinkles? And they don't always actually, like, I feel like Botox and filler is kind of a trend that's dying out, to be honest, like in some ways, because I think people want to look more natural and they're a little more cautious about what they're putting in their body. Nothing wrong with filler and Botox if you want to do that. I just think people are looking for alternatives to, prevent aging.
There's even skincare now with peptides in it. Like
that
I was just
really
telling her I bought this lip gloss that's like peptide lip gloss, and I just bought it because I like the color, and I was like, I'm pretty sure there's no peptides in this, but it's a popular term.
Yeah,
but there is actual legit skincare with like
peptides.
with peptides in it. But
which I think we're going to see it a lot more in the future, peptides in a lot of things, which is why I created this course so that I could educate people on how to utilize these molecules and how to do it. Honestly, when I started to educate myself about how to use these peptides, it was honestly very hard to find the proper dosing and the proper ways to utilize them and how to stack them. I had to do a lot of research. I had to spend a lot of time on understanding them and making sure that they were done right and safely. I mean, I think I have like so many books that I was referencing, and there isn't a lot of resources for peptides. So that's why I really wanted to build this course so people could have the tools they need to utilize these molecules that we've seen like change our lives and our families' lives and my clients, you know.
Yeah, and what would you say to somebody who's kind of scared or on the edge of using them but want to?
Yeah.
I think sometimes when people see peptide, they think it's this crazy substance you're putting in your body, which it's an amino acid.
Yeah. First of all, your health is everything. And if you're struggling with something, the most important thing in life is to be healthy, because if you're not healthy, your life is gonna suffer. I think like always taking care of your health, that's wealth. And that is super important to me now. I think my life revolves around my family and I being healthy because of the things I've been through and we've been through as a family. But also that these are, they're synthetic molecules, but our body makes them. So, these peptides mimic what our body already makes. And as long as you're working with somebody that's a professional that knows what they're doing, you're going to be doing these very safely. And so now I have so many people reaching out to me, asking me, okay, how do I get my hands on, because like, once again, there's not a lot of resources or information on how to utilize these molecules. So now I have people reaching out. You have friends reaching out.
Yeah.
I have of course, clients reaching out.
Family, friends, strangers.
Lots of people. And I'm getting messages about.
Because people are seeing results.
Yeah.
People are seeing results, and you can't deny results.
Yeah.
So
especially you'll see results with these molecules when you couple them with the right lifestyle. You have to change your lifestyle, but you'll see results either way, but you'll see more results if you change your lifestyle. But now I have people reaching out, and that's why I created a course for you guys that is actually 50% off. And the course, you can go and see it. It's in the link in my bio. And I wanted just to get this information out to everyone that's been asking.
But when you find someone you can trust and is actually building a course because she cares and putting knowledge in there, actually thinking it through, not just trying to benefit off people.
Or the correct information from a medical professional.
Yeah. So there's a lot of peptide information out there. And I'm going to tell you, when you find someone you can trust that actually puts time and effort and care into it, I would say go for it. Like, why not have buy a course that tells you all the info, lays it out before you, and is actually legit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, your life's been changed.
Yeah, link in bio, you guys.